You're listening to the Rent Roll Radio Show with Sterling Chapman. Hey, Rent Roll Radio listeners, welcome back to the show. As always, I'm your host, Sterling Chapman. Today, we are joined by an Aussie in Vietnam, Kris Reid. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. And in this time of COVID madness, it's a real good time to be working online.
Doesn't sound like you have too many other options where you're at.
Yeah, for sure. We got the tightest lockdown in the world. We got the government, the Vietnamese army at our door if we go out. So it's mandatory to be working online.
Oh, wow. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how that pertains to real estate investing?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like the unfortunate truth is that most businesses fail. Business is tough, and businesses fail because they can't get the customers they need to stay in business. And that's exactly what we do. Get your message in front of your ideal customer to help predictably grow your business. And that's the beauty of digital marketing, is it's so predictable. I don't know why anyone spends money on, newspaper ads or radio ads or TV ads. Like, how do you even know how many people are looking at it? Never mind how many of them take action. Where any form of digital marketing, whether it's Facebook ads or YouTube ads or Google ads or SEO, it's super predictable. You can tell exactly how many people came to your website, what they did. You can measure every aspect of it, so you can grow your business in a really predictable way. And man, that takes all the stress out of it, makes business a whole lot more fun.
Absolutely. So when it pertains to real estate and investors, let's take like the syndication niche, for example. So I always kind of think about like, well, as an apartment syndicator, what is my customer? And realistically, I have two customers, right? I have the investor. I need to attract investors, and then the deal flow. I need to attract either off-market owners or brokers to bring me the deal flow to find places to put my investors' capital. So what are some strategies you use around both of those potential scenarios?
Yeah, sure. So let's just keep it simple and work on investors, right? And if you're looking for two different custom avatars, then you need to kind of have two different funnels. Everything's about a funnel, really. So the first thing is to identify exactly who your ideal customer is and what they're looking for. And then you need to kind of think about what that person's actually searching for. Generally people know that if their toilet's broken, then they need a plumber. If you've got a more nuanced business, it can be a little bit trickier. And so you have to be a little bit creative. So often we work with, syndication companies, and usually, their minimum investments, say $50,000. And so a really good keyword is how to invest $50,000, because you can be pretty sure that someone that's going to Google and typing how to invest $50,000, well, they got $50K that they want to invest. So that's a really, really good keyword. So you grab your keyword like that, you write an article, here's the 5 ways to invest $50,000. You can put it all on Bitcoin, you can go to Vegas, or hey, you can get into real estate investing. It's a much better way. And so you need to obviously write a really good article, be a trusted authority, so Google puts your message in front of where that person's looking. And that's stage 1. Now you've got that person's attention, that person's on your website. The next part is you need to capture that lead. And so you do that through what's called a lead magnet. So throughout the article, you'll have basically ads for your own product. So you'll have strong call to actions. You have an exit intent pop-up. So if they go to leave early before they get the bottom, an exit intent pop-up comes up, and a timed pop-up comes up. Because you're generally going to have a pretty long article, and so a timed pop-up when they're halfway through it'll pop up, because everything is about getting that person to put their details in and become a lead. And so a lead magnet is usually something free that the person can download. And the more relevant it is to what they just searched in the article they're reading, the better it's going to convert. And so if you just wrote an article about how to invest $50,000, a really good lead magnet could be, the 5 biggest mistakes people make when getting started with investing. Because you're pretty sure that someone that's searching how to invest $50K, they don't know a lot about investing. And so they're looking for your advice. And so if they download this guide, now they're like, wow, this dude really knows what he's talking about. And they trust you. You show them, Bitcoin's crazy. I just lost 10% last night. And they start building up that trust. Because especially if you're asking someone for 50K, well, you're going to have to build up that trust first. So now they download your guide. That's the first 3 stages. One, identifying what the customer's looking for, getting your message in front of them, and then capturing that lead, the lead magnet. Then the magic comes in, which is an email nurture campaign. So this is where you have an email sequence where you send them things, and you can say, hey, listen to me on this podcast, or look at these deals that we did recently, look at these other people that we helped, and start educating them about your business. So that then eventually when you go, hey, why don't you book in a call and I'll show you how you can get started with investing, they trust you as an authority. They understand what you do, and they know that getting on a call with you is going to cost them 50K. And so it's not going to be a surprise when you go, hey, dude, give me 50K. They already totally understand it. You're not wasting your time with crappy leads, and that's the power of a funnel in digital marketing.
Awesome. So I have a very elementary version of that I'm probably going to ask you to look at after this call. So I took having no background in digital marketing whatsoever, really understanding it. I took bits and pieces of conversations like this that I've had, and I wrote a 10-page ebook on why to invest in apartment syndications, or basically like why to be a passive investor, and it kind of gives it's a comprehensive guide of everything I learned from the last 3 years of doing this. And I created, it's a lead magnet, and people have to put in their email to get a copy of it. And then I send a drip campaign, which is very poorly written and doesn't really have a call to action and doesn't give a terrible amount of information or a link to my podcast or anything like that. So I think the other day when I checked, it had gotten me 20 emails in the last 3 months. So what kind of advice do you have to start shaping that drip campaign or that lead magnet in the right direction?
I mean, 20 leads is better than nothing. So it's a start. But realistically, the crappiest funnel is going to convert if you send enough traffic to it. Your number one problem is that whenever customers start with us, generally the number one problem is more traffic. In fact, a realtor that we work with called Avery Carl, she's pretty massive. She grew from 53 million in 2019 to 158 million last year in 2020. And
Avery's awesome.
Yeah, which is pretty damn impressive. She's a very impressive woman. And this year she's smashing that target. When we got our hands on her website, it was in a pretty crappy state. From memory, it was getting around 46 visitors a month, so nothing really. And we did not work on the design at all. We didn't worry about the lead captures. We just flooded it with traffic, and because the ugliest website in the world will convert if you get enough traffic.
How do you get traffic?
Just on that, once you have 10,000 visitors a month, then if you increase your conversion rate by 1% or something, it's going to be phenomenal. But if you spend so much time right now on your website that gets 10 visitors a month, and you spend all your energy on your lead magnet and your nurture campaign, it's not going to do anything. Focus on the traffic. So it's not easy. I mean, if it were easy, then everyone would be doing it. But let me give you a breakdown on why SEO beats the pants off every other type of marketing, and then I'll show you how to get some traffic. So, all digital marketing beats the pants off every other traditional marketing. But the difference between paid ads, whether they're Facebook or Google or YouTube ads, is they'll only ever get more expensive. How much they cost this year, they'll be more next year. And, as soon as you stop spending, you stop getting. The beauty with SEO is it's compounding. Work that you did last month, you get paid this month and next year. So as you keep working on your website, it gets bigger and bigger, and that flow just generates. Like if you were buying 1,000 clicks from Facebook, next year those 1,000 clicks are going to be more expensive. Where if you're getting 1,000 extra visitors each month from SEO, you're getting 1,000 month 1, 2,000 month 2, 3,000 month 3. It just snowballs, and in 12 months you're just flooded with traffic. So that's why SEO is awesome. How do you do it? That's a little bit complicated. The very first thing is to understand what your customers are searching for. You need to know the keywords. From that's how you structure your website. And then the fundamentals of SEO are two things: content and backlinks. If you don't have the content on your website, you can't rank for it. It needs to really, you have to have content for every article, every keyword that you want to target. And the more niche down you can be, the better it will convert. Like Avery, for one, she's based in Tennessee. She sells short-term vacation rentals. And, we built pages on all of Pigeon Forge for the top. I've never been to Tennessee, but the more you can niche down to all the little areas, the easier it is to rank for those, and the better it's going to convert. Because if someone's looking for, a log cabin in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, that person knows exactly what they're looking for. It's like the shorter the tail, the keyword, versus the longer the tail, they don't convert as well. Like the keyword investing, it's got a gazillion searches a month. But what the hell is someone looking for when they search for investing? So even if you could rank for it, it's not going to convert very well. Where if someone's searching, how to get started with apartment investing with 50K, that person knows what they're looking for. And, the search volume is going to be much lower. It's going to be much easier to rank an article for that. And it's going to convert like crazy. So it's really understanding exactly what your customer's searching for so that you can work out what content you need to get in front of them. And so the other part that I mentioned there is called backlinks. And that's kind of the secret to how Google works. Like if you remember back in the 90s, there was a whole host of other search engines, Yahoo, Alta Vista, Ask Jeeves, and they were all crap. And then Google came around and they had a totally different algorithm. They have what's called the PageRank algorithm based on the co-founder of Google called Larry Page. And he surmised that just like when you're at university and you do a thesis, if everyone references your thesis, then your thesis must be really good. And he figured, well, it must be the same with websites, right? If you've got a website and everyone else is linking to your website, referencing your website, it must be really good. And so it should rank good. And that's what a backlink is, a link back to your website. That's why it's called a backlink, because it's linking back to you. And that's still the fundamentals of Google. Because Google can't trust implicitly what you say, because anyone can write any crap they want on their website. Yeah. And so they have to trust what the greater community is saying about you. And so the more backlinks you have from niche specific websites, the better you're going to rank.
Awesome. So is there a way to trick that system where you create other sites that link back to your own site?
But they have to be authority. I mean, there are ways to trick Google. That's called kind of black hat SEO, and white hat SEO is kind of the good SEO. But realistically, Google has an army of software engineers, a couple 100,000 at last count, and they're working on their algorithm all the time. And what they're trying to do is weed out the BS. They want to provide really good quality search results. And if you trick Google, maybe you'll get away with it now, but in a year, 2 years, they'll work it out and they'll slap you down with a penalty and you'll lose everything. So it's like, why try and trick the system? It's just follow what Google wants. Google wants a fast loading website that has great quality content and is a trusted authority. You do that and they're just going to reward you with so much traffic, and that's never going to change.
Awesome. So how do you make your website fast loading?
That, you mean you should definitely hire a developer. I'm a software engineer myself, well, I was 10 years ago. And, I don't get in the weeds of that stuff. It's really technical. I mean, it depends on what platform you're using.
I'm glad to hear you answer it that way, because I felt stupid asking that question, like I should already know. So.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I tell you, there's two books that really changed my business, and they're both by the same author called Mike Michalowicz. One is it's called Profit First, about how to have a profitable business. I was a software engineer. I knew nothing about business. I just started playing around with websites and went, I'm pretty good at this. Maybe I can make money from them. Turns out I could, but it's like I knew nothing about business. And so that taught me, how to make sure that we're always profitable, which, is the number one premise of business. And the other is called Plot Work, about how to build a business that doesn't revolve around you. And it's so good. Like, I got to the stage where I was just working all the time. There was, it's like, this is the shit, a totally bad job. You could never take a day off. You're doing everything. You're doing lead generation, sales, implementation.
It's so funny. We want to be entrepreneurs, so we quit our 9 to 5 so we can work 24/7.
Exactly. And it's not fun at all. And, now I've followed a lot of the stuff that he has in his book, and now I talk to people like you. I talk to customers. I do not implement anything. I have a great job. I've got 3 young kids, and they're locked at home with me. Thanks for COVID as well. And I get to spend most of the day homeschooling them and playing with them. It's great fun. And that's building a business that doesn't revolve around you. You don't have to do everything yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was early in my business. That was one of the things that was completely transformational for me, because I was managing all my properties. I was out there scrubbing toilets and showing units and sweeping floors, and I was wondering why I couldn't get to this growth, because I was like doing $10 an hour tasks. So it was hard to give it. You look at how much property managers charge. Like, oh, I'm giving up, $60,000 a year. But like the exponential growth that you can do when you start to outsource those smaller tasks is, and the quality of life. I mean, I
put it down. It's the same with SEO, right? Unless you want to be an SEO analyst yourself, then don't learn it, because it's bloody hard.
Yeah.
And it's, if you were looking for a lawyer, do you want a lawyer that spends half his day doing SEO and the other half doing law? Or do you want a gun lawyer that's focused at law and hires an SEO agency?
Yeah. So what other advice do you have for real estate investors that are looking to get started and, don't have a lot of money, or just kind of trying to build their first websites, attract their first investors, attract their first deals?
Yeah, I mean, if you understood how powerful having a website is, I'd work your 9 to 5 until you got the money to afford one, because it gives you everything you need. It gives you the deal flow that you need, the investor flow. And once you have that, you're unstoppable. It's true that most businesses fail because they can't get enough customers. Same with, you can't get enough investors. If you've got that consistency and that predictability, it's like, man. And
I'm getting a little feedback.
Sorry, is my mic okay?
I don't know. It sounds like a loud window unit.
I don't know. My mic's right here. Was it okay the whole time, or did it just change?
It just changed, but now it's back to good.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I was lucky when I started, because I am somewhat technical, and the internet was a lot smaller back then. I played around, I was building my own website, and turned out I could rank it, and I started making money from the bat. It was great, but it's like, you need that consistent deal flow. Like, even when I had a much smaller business, I'd do lead generation and then sales, and then I'd have to be implementing the sales with the new customers. And then it's like the lead flow slow. So you have to go back and start that.
Sure.
Like, to be able to just have that consistency, that takes, all of the pressure off, and it makes business enjoyable. So, if you haven't got the money to build, any system, if SEO is not the only way about doing it, but any form of digital marketing can give you that predictability, then you should probably stick to your 9 to 5, get enough money so you can afford it. Because once you have it, man, your business is going to grow like a rocket ship.
Absolutely. So real quick, I want to head over to our radio round. Just 3 quick questions to let our listeners get to know you a little bit better. The first one, I think you already gave some great answers to, but I'll ask it again in case you have another answer you want to throw out. It's what's your favorite book?
Oh, so many of them. But one is on my desk right behind me called The Daily Stoic. It's by Ryan Holiday, a fabulous Stoic, and it's got 366 daily meditations from
I have the little calendar. My dad bought it for me for Christmas last year. So I go through every day on the little desk calendar, and it's got another one on there. Cool. What's your favorite quote?
Oh, Jesus. I can't think of one off the top of my head. It's one I use for sales when someone goes, geez, you're not cheap. And I go, isn't it better to spend a little more than you expected to get something that works, and spend a little less than you should have, but then get something that doesn't? That's by Zig Ziglar. He's a hell of a salesman.
Yeah. So when I first started in sales, I started in the retail cell phone sales years ago. And I was doing bad. And a friend of mine that started with me was doing good. And I asked him for some advice, and he handed me that book, a Zig Ziglar book, The Secret of Closing the Sale. And I love it. I still manage a sales team. And I whenever I see somebody struggling, I give them a copy of that book. He's got what I loved about it was the mindset around like how you can actually help people as a salesperson. Because I think a lot of the problem is we're insecure as salespeople that we're bothering everybody. I don't know if you've ever seen a Groundhog's Day where like the insurance salesman is coming up to Bill Murray every day over and over again, and he's running to the opposite side of the road trying to avoid him. And like that was how I used to feel as a salesperson. But now like looking back after reading that book and after having a successful sales career, I think about like I have life insurance. I have 2 young kids. I have a 2-year-old, a 6-month-old, and a lot of bills, a lot of mortgages and stuff. And I have a ton of life insurance that I would have never bought in my life. I would have never like picked up the phone and called up the life insurance company and said, hey, give me a bunch of life insurance. But I had a friend who hounded the shit out of me until I finally caved and went and signed up for it. And thank God I did, he did, because that was the only way I would have done what was obviously the right choice for my family. I was just too busy or, too selfish or whatever to ever get around to go voluntarily sign up. But since he pressured me into doing it, I feel a lot better. I'm very happy that he did that. I think everybody could agree that that was a very good move for my family. And if something were to happen to me, I mean, it would absolutely be a saving grace, and everybody be kissing his ass for that, So so having that different mindset shift and perspective about what you are doing as a salesperson, often you're getting people to come out of their own busyness and their own procrastination to do the right thing for themselves. And if you can really see that what you're doing is that, it really eliminates that like insecurity, guilt. I'm bothering people. I'm an irritating person.
I'm taking their money. It's like you're making their life better. Yeah.
100%. That's awesome. So the last one is just, what's your favorite thing to do outside of work?
I practice yoga a lot. Yoga and meditation really changed my life. I used to be a very, very busy man and a bit of a grump, and now I'd like to think I'm pretty chill. I like to.
My favorite quote, and I don't remember who said it, about meditation was, everybody should meditate 30 minutes a day unless you're really, really busy, and then you should meditate an hour a day.
That's a great quote. I recently read 2 books, one by Ray Dalio and the other by...
Is it Principles?
Principles, and the other was by the Nike founder, which is a fabulous book. Both billionaire.
Are you talking Shoe Dog?
Shoe Dog.
So I just finished Principles and I just started Shoe Dog.
We got the same reading list. And, and they both like advocate how much meditation changed their life. And it's like, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I just try and listen to what smart people do and follow them. Sure. It makes it easy.
Awesome. Where can our listeners find out more about you, learn from you, go to your website, connect with you on social media?
Yeah, sure. So you can go to Google and type in the coolest guy in SEO. And if you don't see me, then Google is broken.
Then you spelled it wrong. Then you spelled it wrong.
But I've also got a little bonus for people. If they want to see SEO in action themselves, you can go to our website, which is Ardor SEO. Ardor, if you can't tell my funny accents, ARDOR SEO.com/content. And if you go there, put in your details, we will do some keyword research for you. So we'll work out what your customers are searching for. We will write an article for you and we'll post it on your website. We'll SEO optimize it so you can see firsthand just how powerful SEO has grown your business. So it's ardorseo.com/content.
Awesome. I'm going to take you up on that. That's great. Well, Kris, thank you so much for joining. I'm glad we were able to coordinate our time zones, and I'm really looking forward to keeping up with you and everything your team's doing over there. Thanks again for joining. Thanks for tuning in to the Rent Roll Radio Show, brought to you by Crestworth Capital. We hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please hit the subscribe button and leave us a rating and review. You can also visit us at crestworthcapital.com or rentrollradio.com, or follow us on Facebook at Rentroll Radio or at Crestworth Capital. If you would like to reach us, feel free to shoot us an email at info@rentrollradio.com or sterling@crestworthcapital.com. We hope you come back next week to join us on some more of our journey. Until then, happy investing.